be adjusted. Hey, welcome to Coach Jacksonville. And we're going to start off with self-introductions. And Bob, we're going to start with you.
Okay, I get to go first with the last name of Z. I usually was sat in the back of the room and got to go last. So that's always good. Again, my name is Bob Zinzer. My company is Getting the Game Southeast. And I'm in the process of really relaunching and doing some different things with the business. I stepped away for a couple of years and went back into corporate America because they dragged me back in and said, we want you and you're the guy. And then they had changes and outsourced what I was doing. So, my business, Getting the Game Southeast, I can't believe it, but it's been 13 years. It just celebrated 13-year anniversary. Doesn't seem that long, but I really enjoy what I do, helping small and medium-sized business owners with one segment of their business. Sometimes I get into other segments when they ask, but with sales performance. One of the things that I'm doing now that just happened a couple of weeks ago is I'm hosting a TV show. Not anything on ABC or NBC, but it will be, I'm not going to be on World News Tonight or any of that. But I am, it's called 5 Minutes With, and I'm going to be interviewing people that are doing some different things. Even if you're not doing some tremendous things, it is to highlight other businesses. So I want to give to people that I've known and I've come in contact with, and also it'll be a way for me to promote my business, just to be out there and visible. Yeah. So that's going to be starting, I think this week. They were still working out the schedule, if not definitely next week. So
is it 5 minutes for each segment?
5 minutes with each person.
Okay, so you'll talk to multiple people on your okay.
Yep.
You'll be interviewing them
and recording it, and then they have the availability to use that in their business, as well as it will go out to some of the networks. So it'll be out there.
Perfect.
So that'll be fun.
That's inspirational.
Never done that.
Wow, way to go.
Yeah, that's exciting. Good. Yeah. All right, good. Heidi.
Okay, everybody. I am Heidi Anderman. I'm an opportunity igniter and the life coach that rocks. Woohoo. And I help busy creatives find time for everything they want to do, including mindset habits, physical self-care habits, and relationship habits. And we do that with a game. And then I also have a music group called Get Discovered Music Strategy. And so that's for musicians that want to do more than just play in their garage or, at the local bar, and want to get their music out there and build a legacy with it. And so, those are the two main things that I'm working on right now.
Perfect. Good. Thanks, Heidi. Alana.
Yes, my name is Alana Salasolia, and I'm Doug's marketing manager. And so I'm helping him and two other businesses in this building with their social, their websites, events, whatever they need. And I also recently started helping Doug out with a radio program that he's on. And it's a lot of fun to have a guy in a sound part in the back and giant microphones. So that's very exciting.
Big earmuffs.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel very official. So.
Right. All right. You're doing a great job with that.
Thank you. Should we?
Yeah, let's go on. Let's go straight and get Dale.
Is that confusing?
That looked like I'm really in the light there.
You can look at it and respond.
There you go. Great. I can see you all. So the focus of my business is on developing and leveling up leaders and team skills in the context of the broader organization. So one of the things that I've really focused on is looking at the systemic, looking at the whole ecosystem, because it's not just the leader, it's looking at broader systems now, for me, a wider lens. So that's really what's changing for me, in that I've gone back and done a lot of work and gone through programs on systemic team coaching, which really speaks deeply to me about unifying systems, because I know when we're more unified, we can create more together. But where I started, and I'm still doing this, of course, and helping leaders and teams to level up their skills so that
so that you retain people and grow the organization. And, no one wants to work for bad bosses. So trying to level up skills. We have good bosses, maintain talent, and attract new. And helping employers become the employer of choice.
Fabulous. Good. Well said, as always. Good. Jeff, can you just come on?
I can. Hi, guys. Good to see
Hey,
everyone.
Jeff.
Sorry I'm not there in person. I'm a little under the weather today, but I figure I'd power through it. But yeah, again, Jeff Glauser. I am the founder of Brand Scribed. And essentially what I do is I help purpose-driven business owners who are struggling to gain traction, be seen as the thought leaders that they are, simply by leveraging expert content that's going to bring clarity to their message, to their audience, really all through the power of story. So I guess the big thing for me, I am going to be doing a webinar tomorrow, absolutely free. It's on how to use the hero's journey to identify your ideal client. It's tomorrow at noon. I'm happy to share the link. But that's basically what's going on. So good to see everyone. Hopefully I'll be able to see people in person. Bob, looking forward to being a guest on that show, and everyone looking forward to reconnecting soon.
Yep. Me too, Jeff. Thank you.
Perfect. Good.
Okay.
Trudy,
Hey, how are you? I'm so glad to be here. Thanks so
glad you
much.
can make it.
Yes, my name is Trudy Tosh. I am a success and empowerment coach with Mary Kay Cosmetics. Celebrate my 19th year.
Wow.
So I've been around for a while. I stepped away from my career in the clinical world to become a mom. And so I then found Mary Kay. I have been building my business in and around my two boys and busy life. I've been a solo mom for almost 10 years. And so as life is changing, I have one now, a college freshman, and have a 10th grader. So life is getting a little bit different. I decided to step into this year as just really taking it to the next level. And you know what? When you take it to the next level, you have to set goals that are really ambitious. And so my goal with Mary Kay right now, as I'm also building a team and my client base, is to be #1 in sales and training and education. I just got the report today. I'm #1 in my division and 3 in the company worldwide.
Wow.
So I'm super excited to be able to share that, because I know my purpose is to use my God-given abilities to help other people positively move forward. And so that's what I do day in, day out, day over. And so in 2018, I started to really evaluate, as I'm working with my clients, there was just a need for women to just have a positive mindset, to be empowered, and just to feel better. And so I started to do women's empowerment events in 2018. And then, of course, the pandemic happened. And so I launched a business called Positively Profiling. It is it's right now we're in the development. I'm about to launch my website. I wish there was 2 of me, but we are moving along. And so under that umbrella, I wrote a 90-day coaching program, but only for 5 people. So 5 people. I do motivational speaking training all along the idea of mindset, goal setting that makes you be successful, not only in your personal life, but your professional life. And it just goes hand in hand what Mary Kay has trained me over the 19 years. And so it just brings me a lot of gratifications, because I have a tangible and a non-tangible that I can offer to people that I meet day in, day out in the world. And so that is what I am developing. And so thanks for letting me share all those fun, exciting things.
Wow,
And being
that
here
is
today.
exciting. That's
Yeah.
inspirational.
Congratulations.
Yes. This is the first time I've actually vocalized it.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of know we reevaluate on the scoreboard every month, because I don't know who's coming up behind me. So you really just have to be intentional,
Mhm.
and you really have to just weed out and cut out anything that does not serve you and your purpose.
Mhm.
And so it's a great mindset to be in, because you have no room for drama or anything that, doesn't serve you. And so, yeah, it's a great growth.
Keeps you focused.
It does. Absolutely. And excited. So thank you.
Wow. Well, great. That's going to be hard to follow.
There you go, man.
What are you up to?
Really? Yeah, I know. Okay.
In the nation.
And yeah. So yeah, I'm going to be #1 in the Doug Wilder fan. So, I'm a big very impressed with myself. So what's going on in my world is I'm trying to go beyond myself. So I've been coaching now for 29 years. This is my 30th year coaching. And so that means that I'm having to deal with being older, whereas I used to be the young guy in the crowd 29 years ago. And so now I'm the older one. So how do I harness that? And so one of the things I'm trying to do is take Wilder Success and take it to a much larger group. So one of the things is I'm writing a book that I've been writing now for 2 years. So those of you who know me, I've been working on this book. So finally I've decided it's not going to happen by me alone. So
Right.
Alana is in charge of it now. And so
Group project.
So I've given her she interviews me and says, okay, what's this chapter about? And then that's how we're getting it out of my head and on paper. And so thank you very much, Alana. The other thing that's happening is I'm having coaches start to join me. So the Wilder coaches. And so it's an interesting process because I'm finding that people are coming in different segments. And I say there's come in 3 ways. One is you can hire a Wilder coach and we will teach you the system that I've been using for years and years. I have a notebook. Second way is you can bring a client and then we will work on it together and you'll learn the Wilder system. And the third way is you can wait for me just to become so overloaded that I have just the right case to give to you. And waiting is the operative word there. So it may take a while, but that's sort of the concept that I'm working with. So that's what's happening in my world. I'm thrilled that Alana is pushing me ahead. She has recently become, as of this week, become the marketing manager.
Yes, I was a specialist and now I'm a manager.
You didn't tell us about your.
Could be a.
Yeah, I know.
Brag too much in front of Doug.
No, but always brag. Always.
I did say it with a lot of pride though. when
You did.
said
I
my
noticed.
title.
I noticed you said your title. That's right. And so yeah, because she's in charge, and so it's no longer. So there's a different. So what's changed? You want to flip the camera around?
Well, I will say that his book is the de-stress tools. So just to let everyone have a little bit of an idea, he has practical ways of dealing with life when things get difficult. So and it's really cool because he's taken these practical tips and we're incorporating stories from his life and stories from previous clients or just like general things, not revealing everyone's darkest secret. But
With permission.
yes, with permission. So it's really a lot of fun to work on. But beyond that, he's just everywhere with in the Jacksonville community with Jack's Chamber and small business leaders. He's just always on his toes.
Right.
I don't know if that's changed. I think that's consistent.
He calls you boss now.
Boss lady. That's right. That's right. So that's what's happening in my world, and I am, and I'm excited about all the things that are happening. I just started a new book this morning on Audible by Mel Robbins. Anybody know Mel Robbins with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 5-second rule.
Oh yeah.
And I've heard it before because I'm from YouTube and but now I'm going into her book, which is a little bit deeper. So I'm all inspired just from that too. So stay tuned. Great things are going to happen in 2023. Good.
That's great.
Aaron, how about you?
With you, 2023. So I have kind of 2 different things that I'm involved with. I'm the full-time Vice President of Organizational Development at RF Smart, and that's where Dale and I have worked closely together. So we partnered together. It's been, I think, 2.5 years ago now that we partnered together to develop a playbook for coaching, to train up both our coaches or our managers to coach internally, but also how we engage executive coaches from outside our company and align them and so forth. So that's that is my full-time job and keeps me very busy. And then I realized several years ago that I'm wired and very interested in helping and personally helping to coach and to develop other people. So my personal mission statement is that I exist to help other people thrive. And so on top of the role that I have at RF Smart, I developed my own business 2 years ago, Aaron Ellinger Coaching and Consulting. And that's something that I do on the side. And I have to balance that, as you can imagine, because RF Smart is my top priority. But so I don't want to diminish from that. And I'm having a lot of fun coaching individuals and doing other consulting work around the country. So,
Good.
so that's what's going on. And I agree with you. 2023 is going to be a great year. So got some new clients signed up outside of RF Smart, and we launched 4 cohorts of learning over the last month at RF Smart. So we have an emerging leaders program, a managers program for new managers, a manager program for existing managers, and then a company-wide learning initiative. So there's no shortage of things going on.
Yeah.
So
Excellent.
very excited. Very excited.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things for new coaches to keep in mind is that the way to get started is to get started and just pick up some clients and then just run with it. And if you can have them paying you, it's even better. And particularly, even if you start off with a small amount, but just get started is the key to it. Because then you start to develop it, you start to understand what's working, what's not. So
Before Aaron kicks off into these questions, shall we take a photo? Do you want to grab
yes, let me grab somebody
yeah, I
and take a
can
photo. A photographer.
Gotta have the photo for the website.
As soon as she said your name, I'm like,
Aaron, I'm so
thinking about that
excited.
too. I was like, wait, yeah.
What's that now?
I am so excited for you. All the work you're doing is just awesome. I can't wait to see how this continues.
met him.
to
I just
evolve for
put
you.
him for that, like.
Thank you, Dale. Yeah, it's very fun.
Please don't.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Are we,
Should I-
you know,
Help out a little
Oh.
bit?
Yeah.
Do this.
Yeah, there we go. Here, look like.
You look great.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
can you do one the other way?
Sideways?
Yeah.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, great. Also, any announcements? You want to make the announcement of Wednesday?
On Wednesday at 5:30, we have a special guest, Sarah I'm is coming to speak to us about using marketing as a speaking tool. So,
Maybe using speaking as a marketing tool.
yeah, maybe that's the.
That'd be interesting that way too.
Marketing is, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I guess
I was
I'm
trying to figure that one out. I'm
dyslexic.
like, I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Still.
It's backwards day, then you guys get the memo. But anyway, she's a really inspirational speaker, TEDx speaker, and if any of us have excuses about, well, I can't do this kind of thing because of anything insert from your past history, she's got quite the story of how she's overcome because she has survived a concentration camp. So
Wow.
yeah. So we're doing that in person here at the office, or you can also go to the Wilder Success and get the Zoom link, much like we're doing here.
Mhm.
So very excited about
Good.
that.
I'm looking
5:30
forward
to
to it.
6:30 Wednesday.
5:30, 6:30 Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay. This Wednesday. So it's going to be very exciting. And yeah, we are going to record it.
Mhm.
Good.
I mean, as long as she
As long as
Oh,
she
she's
gives
gives
us
allowed.
permission.
Yeah.
But then-
Okay, good. Excellent. Good. Any other announcements?
It's Valentine's Day, if anybody needs a
Oh,
love basket for anybody in their life.
that's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I provide that service.
Oh, that's good.
Mostly for the men, but guys can help the ladies out with their guys too.
Uh-huh. Very good. Okay, good thought. We hold the Jacksonville Business Professional holds a meeting on the second Tuesday of every month. And so this second Tuesday of February happens to be the 14th, which happens to be Valentine's Day. So we've been kicked out of Fogo de Chão
Oh, yeah.
And so we're going to UNF and decided to do an all-day program. So I think it's from 9 to 1
Yeah,
o'clock,
1:30,
1:30.
yeah.
Yeah. And so you can just come for lunch or you can just come for the morning, but it's going to be an interesting session on how we use interns, how we can use interns. And so there's going to be interns that are going to be talking, different members who have used interns and how the system works. And then the speaker is going to be the dean of the business school for UNF is going to be speaking at our luncheon there. And it's going to be at University of North Florida, at the University Center. So anybody who would like to come to that, you're welcome to come. And you can go to jacksbp.org to sign up for it.
Yeah.
Or let me know. Let me see what else is going on.
I know I'm on the board for the St. Johns County Chamber. I'm an ambassador, and so I do a lot of work with businesses in St. Johns County. So if you are a member of the Jacks Chamber and you have not gotten your networking, the TPC after hours for the joint chamber, be sure to get that because they will sell out if they,
Yeah.
I think I looked at the numbers and they're almost half sold out. So
Yeah.
make sure, and that is March, the first Thursday of March. It's the week before TPC. So
Yeah, the second.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw that came through on my email
Yeah.
last week. I thought, okay, and I didn't delay any, just got it.
You always attend, right?
I always attend except when I'm too late.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no.
Last year
was-
they were sold out by the time I
Oh,
got.
yeah, no, that is the best networking event all year. So
That's huge.
Yeah.
it's fun
Good.
too.
So if you can't get it from the Jacks Chamber, you can go to you and.
It's all of the chamber combined. You know, they do those
Yeah.
events
Right,
every once in a while, but just as a reminder, because we get busy with stuff.
sure,
And it's February, like, oh, TBC, and it's snow right around the corner.
right,
Yeah.
9 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
right,
So just a reminder.
right. Good thought.
Yeah. So I'll be there greeting everyone.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'll see you there.
I'll
Yeah.
talk to you afterwards because I've not attended it before. So.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's enormous.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
I live in St. Johns County. So
Okay, yeah.
oh,
I'll say
perfect.
that.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a must.
You don't even have to deal with parking.
Oh, that'd be nice.
not that close.
Right now you can walk, which is ridiculous, but
Uh-huh, yeah,
his
Yeah.
property adjoins Sawgrass.
right,
So-
nice.
You can park on his lawn.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they will sell out. So
they do.
Yeah, okay, good. So if you're gonna go, buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Immediately. $50,
something like that.
Something like that. 45,
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
something like that.
It's worth it though.
Yeah,
And
it is.
and I think that's part of it is how do you take these events and turn them into something of value? So there is a return on the investment. And I think that's what we're gonna hear a little bit about today is, how do you make 2023
Work.
all that it can be? Are we ready?
I think so.
Okay,
I think so.
okay,
Let's do it. All right.
great.
Well,
Aaron,
so thank you, Doug, and it's good to see those of you that I met before. Nice to meet Trudy. So when Doug and Alana reached out and asked for me to lead a session, and I started thinking about all the different topics that I could regale you with and teach and do all these things, I thought to myself, I don't know if you guys are like me, like that's probably the last thing that you need is another content coming at you. Right, so there's no shortage of information, books, podcasts, TV shows, training, coaching, other things that we can consume. And so instead I was thinking, well, what would be a useful way to spend the time that would be useful for me? If I thought it was useful for me, then maybe that would be useful for you as well. And before we jump into it, I wanted to just tell a little story. I noticed the SHRM sticker up on the speaker there. So I'm a fan of SHRM, member of SHRM, but my first memory of SHRM was not as good. And so I was going to share this story that'll get us into something I want to engage with you on. So most of my career was in consulting and business operations, not in HR or coaching. And about 10 years ago, I started to make the shift, just felt that I was more drawn to people than the operations of the business. So I began to shift. And everybody that I knew that was in HR said, we got to join SHRM. Sherm. The first time I saw it, I thought it was shroom. I was like, shroom, like, what is this thing?
As in mushroom?
Well, that's what I was like, is that why everyone's in this group? What's happening here? And then I realized it was Sherm, so I pronounced it correctly. But I got an email from Sherm, not Shroom. And the first paragraph was all about the continuing education credits that I would get if I attended some up thing. And I had to like kind of weed through this. I didn't even know what credits were. I didn't care about credits at the time. Thinking that was an interesting start to the email. Like it was like, what are you talking about? So, but regardless, I pushed through that, attended the session, and the person gets up there and says, good morning. Let me tell you how to make sure you get credit for your CE credits, and spends about 5 minutes saying, make sure you're signed up here and doing it. And I'm thinking, what in the world? And it was actually not repulsive, that's too strong, but I was like, what is going on here? Like, isn't the content good enough for me to learn from that I would want to be here? But I almost got the sense the only reason the people around me were there was because they had to be there to get a credit.
Yeah.
And so I've never forgotten that. And so I start any session that I do talking about why. So why would we want to talk about this? It's not for credits. I'm not going to give you any credits today. Maybe Doug will. Doug and Alana.
Here for credits.
Might have some credits, but I did some brainstorming ahead of time, and so I'm interested for you to help me with this. So why would we spend time sitting around talking about what I'm going to call sharpening the saw? So whatever that looks like. So that could be reading a book, could be meeting with each other to challenge each other, come up with new ideas, could be attending training session, watching a webinar, whatever that is for you, where you are not generating revenue, you are doing something that is costing you something, either financially or in time, that you could be doing something else. So with that kind of framework of sharpening the saw, so why would we sharpen the saw? So I came up with 7 potential ideas. So let's see if you can come up with more. What do you think, Bob? What's one reason? Give me one reason.
I just think that the biggest thing is just to share ideas. You've tried something worked, and more importantly, you've tried something and that didn't work. That we can all help each other. Because again, we're in most cases an organization of one.
Right.
And we don't have that opportunity to do that a lot with other people.
So both sharing ideas, and I'm sensing from you receiving ideas. Great. Someone else, what's one reason why we would sharpen our saw?
For me, I kind of look at things either physically, emotionally, spiritually, or financially, or professionally. And so out of those 5 things, like, what am I doing to add to those buckets of things? So we're all very busy individuals. None of us really have, when I say willy-nilly time to just be sitting around. And so make whatever you're doing count.
So creates some focus, but also you're thinking about it in those 5 buckets to add ideas to.
Yeah. So evaluate how you're spending your time and how is it going to move you forward in those 5 areas.
Great.
I think Dale was going to say something.
What you got, Dale?
One of my criteria is, does it help to transform me? And that enables me to support clients' transformation.
Great. Love it. Jeff, what are your thoughts? What's one reason why we would invest in ourselves this way?
I'd say sustainability. I mean, we're constantly evolving humans. And, if we remain stagnant, then, we're just going to regress. We always need to kind of sharpen the saw in order for us to kind of figure out what that next level in our potential can be.
Love it. Yeah, it's good.
I think mine kind of goes with him. You don't always know everything that you need to know. So when there's a conversation like this, you're like, oh, I'm completely missing that. I had no idea. And so it's very useful to get that additional insight from other people.
Yeah, the literal learning, I
would say also marketing yourself. Clients may not ask me what certifications I have, but they do want to know what experience I have. which I can tie in, what I've done they want to know what experience and also what kind of training have you had.
Good. Yeah, I agree. Good. Anything else you think of? Doug, anything come to mind?
What comes to mind for me is motivation. I'm constantly being motivated by other people, which is why we've been doing the Coach Jacksonville since 2004, 2005, I think, Dale, is when we started this.
Yes.
And so the idea was to learn and motivate each other. And that's certainly what I'm looking for.
Yeah, love the motivation piece.
I have another one, and maybe it was said, but relationship building and the ability to create partnerships with each other through learning about each other and in our own whatever learning that's going on with us.
To build a support system too.
Support system.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I think you got most of my list. So let me just.
Wait, I have one more, maybe
Go on.
in case we didn't.
go.
And that way I can talk. I think just narrowing down what we should study or read next. Oh, yeah. Narrowing down the next books and podcasts, because there's so many. So to try to figure out which ones are the most valuable, which goes kind of along a lot of different things that
Yeah,
we're saying.
sure.
So.
Sure. Good. Thanks a lot. Yeah. So I said, why invest in learning new things as a coach? So these were ideas I came up with. That's a good example of those we're coaching. So I like when I'm coaching people, I tell them, oh, I'm reading this book or I attended this event. I think it's good for them to see that. Keeps us current. We definitely talked about that. Things change and we don't want to get outdated. I was thinking about the dentist that I used to go to that I'm pretty sure has not taken any classes in
No
years.
CEUs.
I left him. No CEUs. I said, you're right.
Everybody needs CEUs, even your hairdresser.
That's right. Can provide opportunity for increased revenue. So if you are going to gain a new certification or do something new, you can expand your skills. That's potential. I wrote, learning is fun. Like I like to learn new things. I try to learn something new every day. So to me, just that piece. We definitely talked about this one. If we don't sharpen the saw, we become dull, not as effective. I think Jeff talked about that. Learning can help us to connect with others we are teaching or learning with to create community. So we definitely hit that one. It actually can impact how we coach. I think you were kind of talking about like we actually literally learn something that's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to change what I'm doing or change how I'm interacting with people. And then for many of the certs, as I talked about with Sherm, it is required. So, although it seemed strange to me that it was so forward, I get it now that I'm a member of Sherm and I understand why it's that way. So with that as the background to the why, I thought, and I know we shared some of the questions ahead of time, thought we would just kind of have an open discussion about some of these concepts. I'm interested to hear from the rest of you, what degrees or certs or certificates, et cetera, do you have? What I have learned in my short time, I've only been doing coaching for a couple of years, outside of my work, is it's a big deal to some companies and it's of zero importance to others. Like some people never ask me about certification or things I do, and for others it's like a knockout. And so I'm interested to hear what your experience is, what certification do you have, and not just if you have a coaching cert, but also, for example, if you're certified for the Hogan assessment or DISC or anything like that. I'm trying to determine for me, a little selfish here, where I should invest my time and money to become certified for the future. And so I'm kind of curious to hear if that's something that you guys are doing. So why don't we start there? Let's kind of talk about kind of current state, and then we'll move to some of the other questions that talk about 2023 and how we're going to invest our time. So who would like to kick us off? Go Bob first. Yeah.
I've never had the question come up as a qualification for engaging with the client. I think if you position it in that really giving them the comfort level that you know what you're doing, and that you've actually used what you're going to bring to them in your career. It's not theory. It's not a certification. And trust me, I'm not against certifications. Dale, you and I, both participated in the Jacksonville chapter of the ICF, International Coaches Federation. And there's a couple other ones, and I'm starting to get information from them, but I just never, sought to pursue that. I don't know why. I actually did entertain seriously a customer experience certification, which is very important. And that's something that I do in my business, is to talk about what kind of experience are you providing? And my approach is, a lot of businesses hire a marketing company, and they spend a lot of money with that marketing company. And that marketing company brings customers to them, to their store, makes their telephone ring, or, engage with them. But then it's up to the customer on how that goes from there. And if you're not providing a good customer experience, and I've talked about this and followed this, I've done a lot of research on customer experience. It's very powerful, especially in the retail space, restaurants. We've all had those experiences where we're still telling people about the experience we had at the restaurant 3 weeks ago. But we're also telling them about the nightmare that we had, where you were ignored for the first 15 minutes that you sat down at the table. But aside from that.
So Bob, what I'm hearing you say is that it's important to have that information, but the certification is not that important. At least that's what you.
I've never had anybody,
Yeah.
and I recently came across somebody, and they had like 6 letters behind their name, none of which I knew what they stood for.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Mhm.
I have a master's of business administration, but so what?
Mhm.
A lot of people have that, and I've had it, but it was a great experience for me. I learned a lot from that, that I'm still using today. So the certification, I'm not against it. It is a huge investment financially and time-wise, and who knows? Never say never. I may start something tomorrow, because I'm always looking at those things.
But you mentioned two things, ICF and customer experience, where at least the knowledge, whether you got the cert or not, but.
Yeah, and even I've even entertained, and haven't taken it off the table, the National Speakers Association. There's no chapter here in Jacksonville. The closest one is South Florida. In fact, Jan Spence is very heavily involved. Dale, you know Jan. I've been involved in a lot of organizations with her, and she's very, very well. So even that type of thing. I love speaking to people, and have done it on a number of occasions, and will do more. I have my hat in on a lot of different organizations that are looking for speakers. So, those types of things, I'm all about that, but I just haven't taken the time to do it, and it hasn't been a requirement. Yeah. On the word of assessments, I've done a lot of work in that with 3 different organizations. The first one was Predictive Index, which is based out of Boston. And then most recently, coincidentally enough, ProScan, which is locally owned by a young lady in South Florida. But I got certified with her on being able to interpret those assessments. Anybody can issue them, they're all done on the computer. But behavior assessments are just so fascinating. It's probably the work that I love the most. Because I've gone to people, and I see 2 people walking towards me, never met them in my life. And this actually happened with me. And they walked towards me, and I reached my hand out and I said, "Very nice to meet you, Lisa." She looked at me and she said, "How do you know who I am? We've never met." Because I did her behavior assessment. The way she carried herself and the eye contact that she made came out in her behavior assessment. The other one was very shy and timid. And I can do those kind of things, and it's just fascinating because it's so powerful. So behavior assessments, and I bring those to my clients as well, to make sure that you got the right person in the right seat that's being challenged enough on a daily basis that you're not going to lose them.
So I'm not familiar with ProScan. Is it similar to PI? I mean, I'm familiar
And
with PI.
coincidentally enough, ProScan, there was a gentleman that worked for Predictive Index in the 60s. And he came to them and said, "We need to validate better our results." The whole thing about it is, how are you validating those results? And there's a scale. This is like 98% validated versus Predictive Index, which is lower than that. He went to the people, the Predictive Index, and said, "Listen, we got to spend money and invest in this. And it's a huge investment." They didn't want to do it. So he said, "Okay, see you later." And he left. That's who developed ProScan. So his validation is very powerful. And that's important.
But it's a similar tool as far as what it's measuring.
It is, they are all real similar, even DISC is very similar, they just call it something different, they measure 4 different areas.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
For me, it's a little different. I have a clinical background, so I was 12 years in the clinical world assessing patients and their treatment plans. So whenever you pull and do their assessment physically and mentally, you have to set their treatment plan according to their deficits. And so as a clinician, you do that in therapy. And so when I stepped away from my career and had the Mary Kay opportunity to present myself, I just transferred those skills. So when I have a client customer in front of me, I do an assessment on them and see what they want to have changed, not what I want. And so it's a little different. And then that's how I set up recommendations, because you want whatever you're doing to help, move people forward. So for me, being in the business, building my business for 19 years, and been to a number of Mary Kay events and being trained by the top people in Mary Kay. I also built a team. I've been coaching entrepreneurs to grow in their business. And so I have 19 years experience and with working, one-on-one with people growing. During COVID, I did a coach Celeste Hill. He is out of Minnesota. I'm coaching online. That was a great program when we were all locked down. And recently, my good friend John Gordon went through his program of Positive Leaders.
John's
Yeah, he's my neighbor. Known him
Oh,
for
really?
12 years. Yeah.
Oh, lucky you, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome. And just, I think when you're just, and I'm within my wheelhouse, like I know my stuff. I know relationship building. I know goal setting. I know mindset. I know what it takes to be successful. So I stay within that circle. I don't, if there's something that I don't know an area of, or it's not my area of expertise, I don't really deal with it. There's other people that do that, but it's fun to be able to build stuff that you really now have a mastery over. Because my experience came first and the education, like the certifications came later, but I think a lot of common denominators still kind of apply. And it's very exciting to be able to apply that.
So Trudy, I'm curious, does Mary Kay require you to do certain trainings on an annual or basis or?
So for us, we are, education is important. We really, in the world of Mary Kay, if you show up, you go up. And that means if you show up to meetings, you show up to education, you are going to learn by default and move forward. And a lot of people ask me, because I am an entrepreneur and I'm, they're like, how's your business doing? And my response is, it works if you do. If you work at Chase Bank and you don't show up to work, you're not getting paid. If you work at Target and you don't show up to work, you're not getting paid. If Doug doesn't show up, you're not getting paid, right? And it's not really any different. Dentists, doctors, hairstylists, if they don't have appointments, they're not getting paid. So it's not any different. It's just, you're in business for yourself. And so I haven't watched, a little fun fact, I haven't watched TV in 2 years.
Whoa.
Good for you, you haven't missed anything.
I went to a women. Well, my thing is like someone over 65 will tell me what's going on. But during COVID, I did a female mastermind in Costa Rica, all female mastermind, and all organic, all plant-based, and just wanted to experience that. And came back, cut the TV off, and haven't. I mean, it's tough during football season, but it really does. I mean, I'd rather read a book than, because there's nothing coming out of there. And I really know I like to protect my subconscious, because your subconscious controls 95% of your behavior. And so what you do day in, day out. And so I'm really protecting my peace in the sense that I'm very, very aware of where I spend my time, who I spend my time with, right? And
When you said I don't do anything that doesn't serve me, I was so tempted to say, do you watch TV?
No, I don't.
think I said that I had to go.
Yeah. And so in Mary Kay, we say you become the 5 most people you hang around with. And that also applies to my children, right? If your kids hang around with kids who are drinking, guess what? They're going to drink. If you hang around people, like whatever that, birds of a feather flock together, right? So that goes a long way. But same in your business world too. When you are around goal-oriented and Mary Kay women, but also men, it is fire because your energy is so contagious to other people who want to show up and make a difference in the world. And, you all have contacts with people who, aren't goal oriented or, aren't
Mhm.
game changers. And there's a different energy that they carry. And so I love to be around people who are making a difference in the world.
Mhm, very cool.
Yeah, as John calls them, the energy
Vampire,
vampires.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's so interesting that you said clinical background and then he said MBA, because those are kind of these like sort of different paths that you were on, but it sounds like you're both using those.
Yeah, so I say I have a master's degree, but I sell lipstick for a living, but it's more than just lipstick. It's about building people and
Mhm.
helping other people just move forward.
Sure,
Yeah, so it's exciting.
very exciting.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Trudy. Someone else.
All right. So, when I wanted to become a coach, I had a mentor and I had this idea that I absolutely had to get a coaching certification in order to start. And so she's like, no, no one has ever asked for my certification. I have one, but like, don't let that stop you. So just go. She's like, I've talked to you enough. You're going to be fine. Just go. And so I went forward with that, and I was glad that I did, because I really wanted to coach around the idea of using your imagination to create whatever you wanted. Very simple. Doesn't cost a lot. It's like all up here, right? But I was able to then take my energy and find the people that actually had been teaching about this for a long time. And one of the actual like courses of certification that I found was the Silva method of mind control. And I love the Silva method because it's all about like just going to that meditative space and then creatively like meditating, because you're overcoming, like, it might be a headache today, or you don't want the headache. So there's a method for that. You want to fall asleep because your mind's going like 100 miles an hour. Well, there's a process for that. There's all of these different mind control processes that Jose Silva had come up with. So I just took the week-long graduate program, which is awesome because that opened up a community of people that are graduates around the world that are practicing this. And to get actually certified and become a teacher and get like leads and stuff from the Silva method, I do have to actually get the certification, and it costs a lot of money. So I'm still deciding if having that certification is going to serve me in my business or not, because it is a pretty big investment. But in the meantime, what I've learned from that has like allowed me to help my clients in a way that's a lot different than I think a lot of coaches are coaching. Because when we go to solve problems, I take you straight to the imagination lab, and that's where we're going to do the work. And the other thing, like if people really have asked me my coaching, it all comes from experience. So if I'm doing business coaching, I was number 1 to about 4 different business owners. So I pretty much ran their business. I did everything. I figured out their processes. They didn't know how to do anything with the computer. Okay, get your CRM set up. Okay, hey, we're using a glorified calculator to do sales. What if we could scan everything and like inventory would be amazing and easy? And that's the kind of stuff that I did. So having that kind of background, I think, really helps with my business coaching, because it is experience. It's not just book smart. And then finally, getting down to that action thing, because I know a lot of stuff, but it doesn't mean that I've actually applied a lot of it. And I think that goes for a lot of people. So I got accepted into this coach's grant for positive intelligence is what it's called. And Dr. Sharad has this program that basically teaches you how to, so he basically says there's 2 schools of thought. You got your negative sabotaging thoughts, and you've got the sage, which is where all your creativity and empathy and all of the good stuff comes from, right? So he teaches you a process that takes about 10 seconds, and you start pairing it with other things like going to the bathroom and stuff like that, that shifts your mind from thinking in this negative sabotaging state into basically neutral. And the idea is you're building your muscle, your PQ muscle, he calls it. And so I really, really like this. His app is gamified, I guess you could say, much like my process with coaching. I started the program just to kind of see how he put his app together and how it was laid out, and if I liked it as a participant, that kind of thing. But now that I'm actually in the program, this is like the easiest way I've ever seen like overcoming limiting beliefs be explained. And so by the end of this program, I have no doubt that I'm going to be kind of interested to look into like what his partnership programs are, that sort of thing, because I think it'll integrate really good with my stuff. So all that to say, I'm very glad I followed the advice of not just going for a certification right away, because a lot of times they do cost money. And it could have been like me going to college. I got a communications degree. That's good, but I didn't actually apply it to what I thought I was going to. So just get started, figure out your thing, and then get your certifications that support what it is that you're doing. In my head, makes a whole lot more sense.
That's good. That's good. Thanks, Ivy.
Mhm.
So, Dale, how about you?
Yeah, so for me, my first certification was working in corporate America for many years. And I remember when I left, I told the OD person, I want to do what you do, and trying to look at what was I going to need to do. And he said, Dale, you do what I do. And except for you're really on the business side. So a lot of my work was about building new products, strategy, and so forth. And that's really served me well through the years. And but what I did, I decided to go ahead and get certified as a coach. Mainly for me, I wanted some kind of, something that would say, I've done something that says that I'm capable at this work. But I will say, originally, even though I was getting certified as a coach, I didn't really go into it to be a coach. I went into it because I looked at it as a transformational process that I could use for everything that you do. Because at the heart of me, I'm really a builder, and like to help build things. But yeah, so certifications, I went on, got credentialed at a PCC level with the International Coach Federation. That has served me well, I will say. However, it's been very variable in terms of whether people ask me for that or not. I found like when I did some work for CDC, they definitely asked for it. It used to be that mid-sized companies never asked me for it, and some are starting to ask more for it now. And I think, people ask me, they come to me and should I get certified? And I think it has a lot to do with what your comfort level is. You look at Marshall Goldsmith, he is not certified as an ICF coach, though I do I do recommend it for, if you're starting your path. I think it was a good approach for me. Yeah, so other things I got certified in along the way, which, are several things. Like I became certified in appreciative inquiry, particularly for clergy, because I did a lot of work with clergy early on. As Doug, I had a passion around that, and it has served me well. And also in, whatever area I've worked with. Also, I'm certified in Myers-Briggs. Also certified in facilitation through Development Dimensions, and let's see what else, Crucial Conversations. And I was, of course, sort of a junkie at it all because I love learning. And my most recent certification that I'm really proud of is being a certified practitioner in systemic team coaching. I've been working with teams for years, but this has been probably some of the hardest and most complex work that I've done to date. So I'm going to go ahead and continue I've gone through the practitioner program, and I'm going to go to the senior practitioner level, because I'm just I'm excited about the work and I love learning. So that's kind of where I am.
Very good. Thanks, Dale. Very interesting. Jeff, how about you?
Sure. So it sounds like the prevailing theme is really it all depends. So when it comes to a certification, what is the ultimate intent as far as why you want to get it? So is it to acquire a new skill set or to improve an existing one? to achieve better results, improve your confidence? Or could it be on the flip side where it's just to essentially increase your marketability and to kind of set yourself apart, through that credibility by association of having something that's established, especially in some of these increasingly saturated industries where it's hard to really distinguish yourself and set yourself off up from the pack. So for me, my first ever certification came from the former, where I was in a business development role, and my employer provided us the Dale Carnegie sales training platform. And that certainly helped as far as, especially someone at that time that was still in kind of that beginning stages of being, a professional account executive and still trying to figure out the cadence and the rhythm to connecting with a prospective client and figuring out, a solution-based solution or a results-based solution. And then, fast forward, many years later, and I started a business, and I'm in really kind of the market of helping people use their story to set themselves apart. And it was further inspired as far as, the direction that I was going in through me reading Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand. So I was aware that he had a certification. Turns out in hindsight, that was the fourth largest investment I've ever made in my life, outside of a house, a college education, and a car. Comes in right after that. But for me, I sat on the fence for a while, mainly for that reason, but also for me, truly believing that I was going to get some sort of ROI out of this, and that this was something that I was going to be able to leverage, and not necessarily because I wasn't sure if I was going to learn something new or what I was going to gain from that, but because I knew that this was something that was very credible. I saw this as valuable with the people that I had interacted with that had gotten the certification, and just publicly the perception of it. So I went in more on the latter for that one, where it wasn't, well, I'm going to get all this newfound insight, although I certainly anticipated that I would get some, but more, hey, listen, I'm now going to be inserting myself into this exclusive community where, not only is that going to help as far as to shine a spotlight on what I do, but also it's going to allow me to tap into this group of like-minded people who have gone through similar experiences and can kind of help me along. And that's what I've discovered, only, 2 months into this, that that community part of things has been equally, if not more valuable than the actual association itself. And that I have been kind of leveraging these new relationships as a way for me to build my brand, in addition to just what, the newly acquired skills have offered me as well. So again, yeah, it really just kind of goes into, what do you specifically want to gain from this experience, from this association, and whatever that might be, making sure that what the ins and outs of this entails. So, so there's no disconnect as far as the expectations at the end of the day.
It's good. Yeah, well said, Jeff. So with Donald Miller, I know you said it was a significant investment. Is that a certification, or do you now have access to the content? How does that work with him? I know you and I talked a little bit about that, but
yeah, all of the above. Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm now known as a certified story brand guide. And I have, access to all, what's inside the vault, if you will, as far as the different branded and templated materials that I can use to leverage my existing portfolio of assets. And that's another thing that actually it afforded me, where I started my business without having, a clear lead deliverable in mind. I started with a masterclass, and, I had high hopes for that. And it was great in the regards that when I finally put it out there, it was a wonderful experience. George went through it. I had another person that's become an ongoing client that went through it, and it was a great positive experience. But it was not as highly attended as I would have expected it to be. I had to worry about the whole marketing part of things, and I was coming into it blindly. So it was a risky lead deliverable, let's say that, as far as just opening the door for existing relationships, where now I have something that's already established. I don't have to reinvent the wheel, and I can parlay that into other deliverables that I already had, in my own portfolio. So now I can say, hey, once I get you on board, for example, with the story brand script, which is now what I'm leading with, because it's simple, it's easy to digest. People don't have to burn mental calories as far as figuring out exactly what I'm doing, what I'm providing. It's basically, hey, let's put together a script that's inspired by the hero's journey to make sure that you have more clarity on your client, more clarity on your message, and therefore you can make sure that the two are aligned when you're putting out your own content to ensure that you're going to get the right people back for it. So that's what I've been doing, and that's really just kind of opened this pathway of clarity for me too, where I feel like I'm kind of eating my own dog food now, and because of that, it's allowed really the opportunity for me to not have to scramble as much with marketing and not have to scramble as much with figuring out, okay, well, what's the next piece? And it's allowed me to kind of focus more on the business, in the business as opposed to on the business, and kind of getting the behind the scenes stuff taken care of because of that.
Yeah, good. Thanks for sharing that, Jeff. That's good.
Sure.
Alon, anything to?
I mean, I don't coach.
Have anything to add? Feel free to share. If not, that's fine too.
I mean, I do think that like whatever jobs and stuff you've done in the past, and they end up contributing to your life in different ways. I've had a lot of different jobs that I didn't really expect them to be connected, but you're learning different skills. So I think that sometimes jobs are like the certifications, like you said, with business, and I didn't even know that. And you were explaining the different parts of what you did, and so and then relating that, transferring those skills. So I know I'm bringing that all into what I do on a daily basis. So.
Good.
And I'm also doing some speaking for the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and that's giving me practice doing something different, and like helping other people, presenting to small and large groups. So that's kind of one thing that's just a volunteer thing that's helpful.
What you done?
I started off even before I started coaching in 1993. In October of 93, before I started coaching, I took the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People course up in Pittsburgh for a week, became certified in it. But I never, for 10 years or so, thought to even announce that to anybody. So I would get coaching gigs and everything like that, and I'd be using a lot of the 7 Habits material. But never actually until I think probably 10 or 15 years, maybe less than that, 5 years ago, I actually put it on my website that I was certified in, because it never really applied. Part of the reason that this group was started, Coach Jacksonville, was because the ICF was saying, if you're not certified by ICF, we really don't want you in the group. And this was back in 2004. I know it's changed the administration since then, and they've become much more open. So a bunch of us said, well, we'll just start our own group, and we accept people who are certified, of course, but then we accept people who just want to be coaches or are even thinking about it. And so it was very much of an open platform. So that was sort of the certification concept. The other thing we were concerned about at the time, back in early 2000s, was certification was leading to regulation. And so we saw it happen, for instance, in the legal field, where if you're not licensed by the bar, you can't practice law. And we really didn't, some of us did not want that in the coaching world, because if once you get certified, then this is the way to do coaching, and if this is the only way to do coaching, well, then everybody else was persona non grata, not appreciated. And so therefore we didn't want that, and we wanted to be very open and not regulated, because once you're regulated, then you're going to be controlled. And part of the reason for me to become a coach was so I wouldn't be controlled. so I can control my own destiny. I mean, that's very strong with me, very strong.
Oh, yeah. That's why I don't fly much anymore.
Yes, that's right.
I get in the car and drive 13 hours.
Yeah, you don't have to take your shoes off. Right. Yeah,
And I know I'm gonna get there.
that's right.
Unless I don't again.
I love it. I love it. Exactly. And so that's sort of the point, is that freedom is one of my favorite words and expressions. But I understand certification. I think the certification gives confidence. It gives marketability, and therefore and credibility. I love the idea of getting the information and the insight, and some of us are lifelong learners, where even when I started, I was getting the 10 top, who is it? Thomas Leonard, or is it Leonard Thomas? Dale.
Thomas Leonard, I think it's Thomas Leonard.
Thomas Leonard, yes. So Thomas Leonard was sort of the founder of coaching, modern day coaching. And so he'd give out in 1993, he was giving out the top 10 everything about coaching. Here's the top 10 things that you should know about selling coaching, or about how do you coach. And so all those were, and so we were studying those. I don't think there was a certification process at the time, at least none that I knew of. So, so the information insight is great. The community of, I heard somebody say, the community of fellow students and teachers, I think it's good to have that. And then the other thing about certification is, it also would require the discipline to be gaining the information and to be applying it to yourself and to others. So I think certification has its value. I'm just leery of it.
Well, and you haven't needed it, like that's the key
right.
thing.
That's true. I've given certification to the Wilder Business Success certification years and years ago, way before Heidi.
That's how you can control other people.
Yeah, that's right. I love the control. Yeah, you're gonna do it my way.
Take control, but he'll take it.
You're doing it my way. Well, actually, and the way I would do it, I'd say, here's my way. Now, if you like this, you can adopt it and adapt it any way you want. And that's what we used to talk about. Are you adopting or are you adapting? Adopting is when you just take it and you just put your name on it. Adapting is when you take it and you say, okay, hey, I'm going to change this up. So
Good. Thank you.
So I just want to say, can I say one thing about the ICF too, just, that may have shifted since this earlier. One of the things that the ICF has tried to do is that their real effort is to keep it from being regulated and allowing it to be self-regulated, as opposed to being government regulated. So I think that's really important differentiator now that might have felt differently back, Doug, 15 years ago or whatever, but it really is to not have it be government regulated, because if we can be more self-regulating by having something that there's a body, and it's not just ICF. I think the Association for Coaching also has some of their criteria as well, which are very similar in terms of core competencies.
great. Thank you for adding
Yeah,
that.
that's good.
That's good.
Thanks,
It's a good update.
So I did get ICF certified, associate certified coach last year. So just to share my experience there, so my company was willing to pay for it because I coached people internally. And so to me, that took that off of it. The effort was still mine, but so I had to choose a different organization. So ICF doesn't usually do the coaching themselves. They use others. And so I did Coach U was the one that I used. Had a very good experience with that. It was all online. Looking back, when I reflect on it, I would say I probably already knew about 70%, or it was intuitive to me. So it wasn't 100% of new concepts. I had been doing these types of things, but 30% was new. And then what was most helpful for me was the practical, they call it practicum, where you would coach others and then you would have a mentor coach observe. And I found out that I was not as good a coach as I thought I was. So I thought I was pretty good at it, and then I would receive feedback, and I was like, yeah, that wasn't good, that wasn't good. And I found out I was either talking about myself, or I was solving their problems for them, or, doing things that seemed natural to me, but it wasn't what ICF or coach you defined as coaching. So that was really helpful for me. So that's kind of my experience. It is expensive, and it's not 100% new content. At least for me, it wasn't. So it's hard for me to say everyone should go do it. But I did learn, and I'm definitely a better coach now, having gone through it. So from a marketing perspective, I have been asked for it once, but the majority of the people that I'm talking to don't. But I am also marketing to most of the people who already know me and who kind of recognize me as somebody who seems like a coach or something. That's what they say. Oh, yeah, you seem like a coach. So whatever that's worth. So thanks for going through that. I know, just keep an eye on the clock. We've only got about 6 or 7 minutes here. So why don't we do this to end? If from a sharpening the saw perspective, you can choose which question. You're looking at me. Okay.
I'm curious.
Oh,
What are you
okay.
gonna say?
You were looking at me like I thought I had the time wrong. Okay. Sorry about that. So you get to choose 1 or 2 questions. You can either choose what is one book, podcast, training class, something that you would suggest to everyone else, and maybe you've already mentioned that, or what is fill in the blank that you are planning to consume either, next. And I know you said you mentioned reading, but like I'm always fascinated to hear what other people are learning. And so either what you're planning on learning or what you would recommend the rest of us consider. Go down.
I'm reading Coach the Person, Not the Problem by Marcia Reynolds. It's just a great way to dig into deepening coaching skills.
And so you recommend that one? Are you far enough in?
Absolutely. Marcia Reynolds is amazing. And yeah, because we can get real focused on the goal versus really helping the person to have those internal shifts necessary to really make behaviors stick.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Dale. Someone else?
I'm not reading a book per se. I mean, I've just been in personal growth and development for 30 years, but I think whenever you're evaluating clients, just to really assess them from a place where they're in a good place of growth. A lot of times we catch people in a season that they aren't able to experience growth. And so, we're not psychologists or therapists. So just, I know a lot of times people need that more than coaching. And I think just being able to say, this is probably not good for you at the moment. Maybe we check back when you're doing some more healing or self-work.
Right.
I'm interested. I know we're tight on time, but I'd love to dig in on how Like, do you just have a sense, or do you ask a specific question that says this person is?
Yeah, I could probably give you some pointers.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to get caught up in that, because you're not going to move yourself forward. You're not going to move them forward, and it's okay to say maybe you need to work professionally with a therapist, but just acknowledging those points. Yeah.
Yeah. Often we look at the coaching is present going forward, whereas therapy is let's look at what's causing the problem in the present with something in the past, and so we're going to go and reframe the past.
Right.
And so as a general rule, that makes it pretty easy. So if they say, well, the reason I'm doing this is because my mother left me when I was 2 at the mall, and you say, okay, well, that's interesting. That's for your psychologist. But what we're going to say now is, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. It's good. All right. Someone else. Heidi, go ahead. Sorry.
The positive intelligence program that I'm in right now, I think he will probably do like another grant program for coaches.
Okay.
I think like the way that his funnel works is the coaches get the free 6-week coaching program. You have to apply and sign up.
What was the name of that person again?
Dr. Shazad, and his book is called Positive Intelligence too. So if you want to start reading his book and get a head start, but it explains a lot of the background behind his method, and that helps a lot. Because when I first started, I'm like, I don't understand what this is doing. I don't get it. But once you read the book, you're like, oh, Oh, now this all makes complete sense.
Okay.
So start with the book at least.
Okay.
Very good.
And the book I would recommend is Traction. I don't know if any of you have read that, or I think he has a newer one with kind of a similar name.
Get a grip.
Get a grip, yeah. But we did it at my work. They had all these managers, my old job, read it. And it's the best for controlling meetings. So if you're ever working with someone who's like, we get off topic, we can't accomplish anything. We only hear from these two people, whatever it is, it has like a process that's very easy to understand and implement.
Good. Who was the author?
Do you know what it is? Doug?
No.
All right, that's all right.
I
The
might
traction's a
have to-
unique word, so I'm sure I can.
Yeah.
Google.
Good. Good. Bob, what about you?
To really build my business for 2023 is to really build my business through outbound marketing, whether that's speaking engagements. I've done the social media thing. I have a social media calendar that I post 3 times a week on LinkedIn and Facebook, but you know what that's really gotten me is 0, because it's
Yeah.
very noisy out there. So I need to stay present in that just in case, and I enjoy it because I write a lot. But I really want to do more in proactively and directly marketing the company to people, individuals, and organizations. And ultimately, it's because I want to become independent enough time-wise to go visit my 8 grandchildren in Ohio and Pittsburgh.
Those are priorities.
I mean, they're growing up so fast. I mean, Snapchat, yeah, we do that, but FaceTime, that's nice, but it's still not there.
Yeah.
And
that's
they're
right.
growing up so fast, and
Yeah.
I'm 13 hours away, so.
You mentioned social media and staying present on social media, and I think that's that's important. I stay present on social media, particularly on your birthday. So
Yeah.
Um,
Same thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
our birthday's the same day. So December 31st.
And Paul
So-
Asselford, isn't he on that part of that triumvirate?
No, that's Jerry Malott.
Jerry Malott, that's it.
Yes, that's right.
Gino Wickman is the Traction.
What was it?
Gino, Gino, and Wickman.
Okay.
He's had something about it's the EOS Entrepreneurial Operating System, but we read Traction, which is a short one.
Okay,
Mhm.
good. Thank you. Jeff, what do you got?
I'm 2/3 done, Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. So I'd say
Oh,
that's enough of
yeah.
a sample size where I can,
I'm
recommend
reading
it.
that right now, Jeff, interesting.
Oh, well, I am a notoriously slow reader, so you'll probably surpass me within about a week or so, if not
Yeah,
sooner.
I'm about 2/3 of the way done. It's my
Well, there you
beach
go.
book, but I haven't been to the beach in forever because this crappy weather we're having. Anyway.
Exactly.
I heard him a lot
Especially
on
on the
Clubhouse.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's good.
No podcast?
Podcast.
I actually signed up for one. I've got content, but I recently talked to somebody that says for the amount of time that you're going to put into
Yeah.
those podcasts over time, it's more long-term. And you could probably spend time and effort on other things that will get you further along.
I meant like listening to them,
Oh,
like in
yeah, all the
industry
time. I mean,
experts.
Webinars,
But is there any specific one that anybody
Mm-hmm.
found either motivational or informational?
informational. I was in this business a while ago, direct mail marketing. They're saying direct mail is coming back. So that's a marketing area that I think a lot of people are missing. Because the mailbox is empty. Think about it. There's not as much junk mail before because everybody's given up on it because the returns were so pitiful.
Mhm.
Social media is so noisy, you can't break through the noise. So try something that's been done before and you might find it
Mhm.
interesting.
So the podcast I was going to recommend for coaches is called Coaching Real Leaders. HBR presents, and it's actual coaching. So you get to listen in on a coach somebody and then break away and then advise you on this is what just happened there, notice this or that. So I find it useful it's like you're observing a good coach. So
Good.
all right, well, we're out of time. So Doug, how do we want to finish up?
First of all, I want to say thank you very much. It's excellent. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
And I'm excited about this process. Do we have anybody for March?
Not at the moment.
We don't have anybody March 3rd. So, but we will be here at March 3rd. And so you're all welcome to come back. You know how to get here now.
March 3rd or March 6th? Monday, 3rd's Friday.
I have March 3rd down, but
Oh, I think it's, it's March, I believe.
it is March 6th.
Let's
It
meet
is-
on Monday.
No, yeah, it is. No, it's actually the same day as
It's the
February.
6th.
So it's February 6th. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was getting my Fridays and Mondays.
That's right. That's
Quick
right.
process.
That makes sense.
Okay.
So, and we don't have anybody for March 6th either then. Or March 3rd.
We have some for March
We
3rd.
have somebody for March 3rd,
They're
but
gonna be here.
And do you have a list of
I'm gonna-
all the attendees just
Yes.
so we can connect on LinkedIn or?
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
okay.
So everybody okay with just sharing all that? So we're
Mhm.
sharing it all.